This is the planet that humans have dreamed of for thousands of years. And the craziest thing is that in the next 10 to 20 years, any one of us could set foot on this planet. Yes, I'm talking about Mars, which we also call Mars. Now you might be wondering, Earth is so beautiful, so why go to Mars? Well, I asked myself this very question, and when I received the answer, it blew my mind. Look, there's a very scary truth we all need to understand. Earth won't be safe forever. 66 million years ago, an asteroid wiped out the entire dinosaur species in just one impact. Now imagine if something like that happened today. The entire human civilization would be wiped out in an instant. And that's why the world's foremost scientists and visionaries are saying that humans must become a multiplier species, meaning they must live on more than one planet. Otherwise, our future is very risky. Now, a very interesting question arises. If we're going to go to another planet, why Mars? There are 8 planets in our solar system, and most of them are either extremely hot, extremely cold, or lack solid surfaces, like Jupiter and Saturn, which are gas giants. Now consider Venus, our closest neighbor. The temperature there is 450 degrees Celsius, hot enough to melt lead, and the atmosphere contains clouds of sulfuric acid that will dissolve anything. So, basically, going to Venus means instant death. Talking about Mars, it is similar to Earth in many ways. A day on Mars is 24 hours and 37 minutes, which is almost the same as on Earth. Seasons occur there, just like here. Mars has a solid surface, allowing us to walk on it and build buildings. There's also water there, in the form of ice, at the poles and underground. And most importantly, Mars is relatively close to us. An average distance of about 225 million kilometers. But this is where the real challenge begins, and that's that reaching Mars and surviving there isn't easy at all. Look, it takes a rocket about 7 to 9 months to travel from Earth to Mars, because both planets revolve around the Sun in different orbits, and we have to launch within a specific window that occurs once every 26 months. This means that if a mission goes to Mars and something goes wrong, there's no immediate option to return. You'll have to stay there for months. And this is why some people call Mars missions a one-way ticket. Now imagine reaching Mars, opening the door of a spaceship, and seeing the world outside. First, you'll see a red desert spread all around. Mars is called the red planet because its soil contains iron oxide, also known as rust, which gives it its red color. If you look at the sky, it also appears a strange pinkish brown, not blue like Earth. The first major problem here is that Mars' atmosphere is very thin. To understand how thin it is, Mars' atmosphere is only 1% of Earth's. And the little atmosphere that remains is 95% carbon dioxide, which is poisonous to us. This means that if you remove your spacesuit, you will become unconscious in just 15 seconds and in 2 minutes. So, basically, surviving even for 1 minute on Mars without special equipment is impossible. Regarding temperature, the average temperature on Mars is minus 60 degrees Celsius. It's so cold that even Antarctica seems warm in comparison, and sometimes the temperature drops to minus 125 degrees Celsius, which is so extreme that your blood can freeze. There's also the issue of radiation, which is very serious. On Earth, we have a magnetic field that blocks harmful radiation from the sun. Mars doesn't have this magnetic field, and therefore, cosmic and solar radiation directly reaches the surface. Living on Mars for 1 year would expose you to as much radiation as you would receive on Earth in 8 years. This radiation significantly increases your risk of cancer. Essentially, Mars is a hostile environment that will try to kill you in every way. The question is, if Mars is so dangerous, why do we want to go there, and how? Currently, the world's most ambitious company preparing to go to Mars is SpaceX, founded by Elon Musk. Elon Musk has clearly stated that his ultimate goal is to build a self-sustaining city on Mars that can accommodate 1 million people. Now, that sounds crazy, but when you see what SpaceX is building, you'll realize this dream is achievable. SpaceX has built a rocket called Starship, the most powerful and largest rocket ever built. This rocket can carry a payload of 100 to 150 metric tons to Mars. And most importantly, it's fully reusable. Just like airplanes fly repeatedly, this rocket can be used again and again.
Installing solar panels and creating a water extraction system. Now, the question that's likely coming to your mind is, where will they live on Mars? Well, initially, astronauts will live in prefabricated habitats that will be sent from Earth. These will basically be large, pressurized pads with a controlled environment. Temperature regulation will be provided, oxygen will be supplied, and radiation protection will be provided. But this isn't a long-term solution because transporting so much material from Earth is very expensive. That's why scientists are working on a very clever idea. They're working on something called C2 resource utilization. This means building using the resources available on Mars. And what's the best option? It's settling underground on Mars. Yes, building underground habitats that will protect against radiation and also keep the temperature stable. The radiation problem is solved once you go a few meters below the surface of Mars because the soil absorbs radiation. Plus, the underground temperature is more stable. There's another fascinating concept called construction using 3D printing. The idea is that we'll send large 3D printers to Mars that will print buildings using the Martian soil. The Martian soil contains iron and other minerals that can be used as construction materials. Robots will go ahead and do all the work, and when humans arrive, the basic infrastructure will be ready for them. Now, the most critical question arises. Where will we get water on Mars? Look, nothing is possible without water. We need water for drinking, water for farming, and oxygen. We also need water for manufacturing, because oxygen can be extracted from water through electrolysis, and rocket fuel can also be made from water. Now the good news is that there is water on Mars and in large quantities. There are ice layers at the poles of Mars that hold millions of cubic kilometers of water. Plus, there's ice beneath Mars' subsurface, even a few meters below the ground. So, basically, there's no shortage of water. We just need the technology to extract it. Both NASA and SpaceX are working on water extraction. The plan is to drill the ground and heat the ice and convert it into water. This water will then be purified and ready for use. Once water is found, many problems are solved. Now, let's talk about food. There's no McDonald's on Mars, so where will the food come from? Packaged food will be shipped from Earth. But this isn't sustainable. That's why farming will have to be done on Mars. There are some chemicals in Mars soil that are toxic to plants, such as chlorates. Therefore, farming cannot be done directly in Mars soil. But scientists have developed techniques like hydroponics and aeroponics, which don't require soil at all. Plants are grown in nutrient-rich water in a controlled environment. LED lights provide artificial sunlight and maintain temperature control. This method could even grow vegetables and fruits on Mars. They can be grown. Actually, NASA has already successfully grown lettuce and other vegetables on the International Space Station. So this technology is proven and would work on Mars too. Lush green plants growing inside a dome and a red desert outside. How real would this scene be? Let's talk about a very ambitious and long-term plan called terraforming. Terraforming means making a planet more Earth-like. This means thickening Mars' atmosphere, increasing its temperature, generating oxygen, and ultimately creating an environment where humans can live without spacesuits. Now, it sounds like science fiction, but it's theoretically possible. It just takes a lot of time, perhaps hundreds or thousands of years. One idea is to detonate nuclear bombs at Mars' poles, causing the ice to melt and release water vapor and CO2 into the atmosphere. This would trigger a greenhouse effect, warming Mars. Another idea is to place composite mirrors in Mars's orbit to focus sunlight on the poles and melt the ice. Another approach is to set up factories that continuously produce greenhouse gases and thicken the atmosphere. Essentially, this would be a multi-generational project that our children's children would complete. Now, in terms of a practical timeline, SpaceX plans to land the first unmanned Starship on Mars by 2026 or 2028. Then, the first humans are to be sent in 2030 in a small colony with a population of at least 1,000 by 2050 is to be established. NASA's plan is a bit conservative, planning the first manned mission in the late 2030s. China is also in the Mars race, and they plan to send the first Chinese astronauts to Mars in 2030. Now, an interesting question is, who will go to Mars? The first missions will consist of trained astronauts and scientists who will conduct specific experiments and construction work. But eventually, when the colony grows, ordinary civilians will also be able to go. Elon Musk has stated that his goal is to have a ticket to Mars, costing roughly the same as an average house. Meaning, if you can sell your house, you can go to Mars. And those who go will also work there, because building a new world requires all kinds of skills. Engineers, doctors, farmers, teachers, even artists and musicians. Because human society also needs culture. Now imagine what daily life on Mars will be like. You'll wake up in the morning in your underground habitat. On a screen, you'll see the surface of Mars, which isn't actually a window, but a camera feed, because there won't be any windows to protect against radiation. You'll have breakfast, probably made from vegetables grown on Mars. Then, put on your spacesuit and head out to work on a project. In the evening, you'll meet people at the community and perhaps watch a movie beamed from Earth. Communication will be from Earth, but with a delay of about 3 to 22 minutes, depending on the location. This means video calls won't be possible, but messages can be sent and received.
I'll be bringing you exciting new videos regularly, so stay tuned and be part of the journey.